My name's Mike, and I'm 32 years old. I've been married to my wife, Emma, who's 30 for 8 years now. We have a beautiful house that I built myself, nestled away on a piece of land Emma found through her job in real estate. To outsiders, we probably look like the perfect couple. No kids yet, but we were planning on it soon. Our relationship has always seemed strong. We rarely fought, had a great sex life, and shared many interests. I work in construction, specifically in demolition, which means I travel a lot. Being away from home for up to 2 weeks at a time isn't unusual for me. Emma has always been supportive of my job, or so I thought. Recently, though, things started to feel a bit off. Emma's been a bit distant, spending more time on her phone and having late-night work meetings that didn't seem to add up. But I trusted her completely, so I brushed off any doubts. Little did I know, my world was about to be turned upside down. I was supposed to be away for 14 days on my last job, but due to some bad weather, we had to postpone our work. I decided to fly home early to surprise Emma. I didn't let her know I was coming back. I thought it would be a nice surprise. When my flight landed at midnight, I drove the 45 minutes home, excited to see her. As I pulled up to our house, my heart sank. There was a black SUV parked in front of our garage, a car I didn't recognize. My gut told me something was very wrong. I parked my car in such a way that the SUV couldn't leave without my say-so. I grabbed my concealed carry gun, I have a permit, not because I feared for my safety, but because I knew I might lose my temper. I walked into my house through the back door. Everything was eerily quiet. There was a finished meal for two on the table and a sink full of dishes. My hands were shaking as I made my way down the hall to our bedroom. I pushed the door open and saw the unthinkable. Emma was completely naked, lying on top of some naked guy I'd never seen before. That's when my life as I knew it ended. Right, the moment I saw them in bed. It's hard to put into words how I felt at that exact moment. It was like my heart stopped, my stomach twisted, and my mind went completely blank all at once. There was Emma, my wife, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone, naked and tangled up with some stranger in our bed. I was in shock, but my anger quickly took over. I pulled out my phone and started recording. I needed proof, not just for any future legal battles, but because I knew my brain wouldn't fully accept what I was seeing without it. I circled the bed, capturing every angle of their betrayal, the cold, hard evidence that my marriage was over. As I moved, they didn't stir. Both were passed out drunk. For a moment, I felt an urge to shoot them, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. Besides, they weren't worth spending the rest of my life in prison. So I aimed my gun at the ceiling and fired 2 shots. The noise was deafening, and they both jerked awake, confusion quickly turning to terror. Emma scrambled off the bed, grabbing at the sheets to cover herself, while the guy, Peter, as I later found out, just sat there, wide-eyed and silent. Emma started to babble. "It's not what it looks like." But I wasn't having any of it. I fired another round into the closet door to shut her up. The look of fear in her eyes should have made me feel something. Satisfaction, maybe. But I felt nothing but cold, empty rage. I demanded to know who Peter was. He stammered out that he was a real estate agent. I asked Emma how long this had been going on. She tried to claim it was the first time, but I knew she was lying. I turned the gun on the headboard and fired 2 more shots, right between them. Peter finally admitted they'd been seeing each other for 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of lies, deceit, and betrayal. I felt like I was going to be sick. I asked Emma when she stopped loving me. She cried and said she never did, but her words meant nothing. I fired 2 more shots into the bathroom, shattering the mirror. She screamed, and I could see she was having a panic attack, but I didn't care. I was done with her lies. I turned back to Peter, asking if he was married. He nodded, eyes wide with fear, and admitted he had 2 kids. I told him he was lucky I wasn't going to call his wife that night, but that might change if I didn't get some straight answers. Then, I made Emma get her car keys and took away her house key. Legally, she had a right to the house, but I wasn't thinking about legalities at that moment. I ordered Peter to get dressed, and once he did, I let him outside. I punched him repeatedly, not caring about the blood pouring from his nose and mouth. I told him to get in his car and leave, warning him that if I ever saw him again, he'd regret it. He peeled out of there like a bat out of hell. I went back inside to find Emma still crying at the kitchen table. I handed her the phone, telling her to call someone to pick her up. She refused, wanting to talk, to explain. I fired 2 rounds into the double oven and 1 into the fridge, cutting off her pleas. I told her she had destroyed me, that I no longer felt any love for her, only hate. I made it clear that she needed to leave and never come back. She left 5 hours ago, and I've been sitting in my dad's old fishing cabin ever since, trying to figure out what the hell to do next. My life, as I knew it, is over. Every creak of the old wood, every rustle of the trees outside, it all feels amplified in the stillness. I keep replaying the confrontation in my head, each moment seared into my memory. After Emma left, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the spot where she had been sitting. The smell of gunpowder still lingered in the air, mixing with the scent of the food she had cooked for her and Peter. I was numb, my mind struggling to process what had just happened. Eventually, I decided I needed to hear from Emma herself why she did it. I wanted to understand how the woman I loved could betray me so completely. I grabbed my phone and called her. It took a few rings, but she picked up, her voice shaky and filled with tears. "Mike, please, let's talk," she pleaded. "Talk? You think there's anything left to talk about, Emma? Just tell me why. Why him? Why now?" My voice was cold, detached. She started sobbing, and I could barely make out her words. "I don't know, Mike. It just happened. We were working late, and one thing led to another. I was lonely with you being gone so much, and Peter was there. He understood me." "Understood you?" I spat out the words. "What the hell does that mean, Emma? We were fine. We were happy. At least I thought we were." "I was unhappy, Mike. You're never here. You're always away for work, and I felt like I was losing you," she confessed. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So, you decided to sleep with another man? That was your solution? It wasn't supposed to go this far. I didn't mean to hurt you," she sobbed harder. "Didn't mean to hurt me. Emma, you destroyed me. You destroyed us. There's no coming back from this," I said, feeling a mix of anger and despair. "I still love you, Mike. We can fix this. We can go to counseling, work through it," she begged, but her words felt hollow. "No, Emma, you threw away any chance of that the moment you slept with him. I can't even look at you without feeling disgust. We're done." She cried, pleading for another chance, but I hung up. I couldn't listen to her anymore. Every word she said felt like another dagger in my heart. I threw the phone across the room, watching it shatter against the wall. The anger inside me was overwhelming, but beneath it all was a profound sadness. I loved Emma, and the life we had built together. But now, all of it felt like a lie. I knew I couldn't stay in that house any longer. I packed a bag with some essentials and left, heading to my dad's cabin. Now here I am, surrounded by the ghosts of my past, trying to make sense of a future that no longer includes Emma. My phone keeps buzzing with messages from her, but I ignore them. I can't deal with her lies and excuses anymore. All I want is to be left alone to figure out my next steps. I know I need to call a lawyer, start the process of ending this sham of a marriage. But right now, I'm too drained to think about that. I just need to get through tonight. Maybe tomorrow things will be a little clearer. I've spent the last few hours staring at the ceiling of this cabin, trying to process everything. The anger that surged through me earlier has ebbed, leaving behind a hollow emptiness. I'm devastated, plain and simple. Emma was my everything. We shared our dreams, our plans for the future. We talked about having kids, growing old together. Now all of that feels like some cruel joke. I keep asking myself how I missed the signs. How could I have been so blind to what was happening right under my nose? The sadness is overwhelming. It feels like I've lost not just my wife, but a part of myself. The betrayal cuts so deep that I don't know if I'll ever recover. I go from feeling numb to sudden bursts of tears, my body racked with sobs. I haven't cried like this since I was a kid, and the tears just keep coming, relentless and unforgiving. I remember our last anniversary. We had dinner at that fancy restaurant downtown. Emma looked stunning in that red dress I bought her. We laughed, reminisced about the good times, and talked about our future. Now I wonder if she was already seeing Peter then. Was she laughing at me the whole time? Was our life together a facade? The betrayal feels like a physical pain, a weight pressing down on my chest. I keep thinking about the times we spent together, the love we shared. Was any of it real? I feel like my entire life has been turned upside down, and I'm left grasping at straws, trying to find some semblance of stability. I can't help but think about what I could have done differently. Was it my fault? Was I too focused on work, not giving Emma the attention she needed? But then I remind myself that no matter what issues we had, cheating was never the answer. She chose to betray me, and that's on her, not me. I feel a deep sense of shame. Shame that my wife found solace in another man's arms. Shame that I couldn't see it coming. Shame that I'm now the guy who got cheated on. The guy whose wife found someone better. It's a hit to my self-esteem that I wasn't prepared for. And then there's the fear. Fear of the future, of being alone. I've spent so long building a life with Emma that I don't know how to be without her. The thought of starting over, of trusting someone new, seems impossible. I'm terrified that I'll never find happiness again, that this betrayal has ruined any chance I have at a fulfilling life. My mind keeps drifting back to that moment I walked into our bedroom. The image of Emma with Peter is burned into my brain. I can't escape it. Every time I close my eyes, I see them. The anger flares up again, hot and consuming, but it quickly gives way to the same crushing sadness. I've read about the stages of grief, and I guess I'm somewhere between anger and depression. Acceptance feels like a distant dream, something I can't even fathom right now. But I know I need to get there, somehow, someday. I've decided I need help. I'm going to find a therapist, someone to talk to about all of this. I can't do it alone. The pain is too much, and I need to find a way to move forward, to heal. Tomorrow I'll start making calls. I'll find a lawyer, a therapist, anyone who can help me piece my life back together. Tonight, though, I'm just going to let myself feel this pain. I need to grieve for the life I thought I had, for the future that's been ripped away from me. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I know I have to keep going, one step at a time. Morning light filters through the cabin's small windows, casting a faint glow on the wooden walls. I didn't get much sleep, but somehow, the dawn brings a tiny bit of clarity. My head is pounding, but at least I'm no longer drowning in my own thoughts. The first thing I do is pick up my phone and start looking for divorce lawyers. I scroll through the names, reading reviews, trying to find someone who will fight for me. I finally settle on a firm that seems reputable and call them. They set up an appointment for later in the week. It feels like a small step forward, a bit of control in this chaotic mess. Next, I search for therapists. I need to talk to someone who can help me navigate this emotional storm. I find a therapist who specializes in infidelity and relationships. Another call, another appointment set. It feels strange to be arranging my life around this disaster, but it's necessary. The hours pass slowly, each one filled with a mix of determination and dread. I know that seeing a lawyer and a therapist is just the beginning. There's a long road ahead, but at least I'm starting to move. Around midday, my phone buzzes with a call from Emma. I let it ring, then listen to her voicemail. She's crying, begging me to come home so we can talk. She says she's sorry, that she still loves me, and that we can fix this. But her words feel empty, like she's only saying them because she got caught. I don't call her back. Instead, I pack a few more things and decide to head back to the house. I need to grab some more clothes and documents, and I need to face her one last time to make things clear. The drive is long and filled with tension, my mind racing with what I'll say and how I'll keep my composure. When I pull up to the house, Emma's car is in the driveway. I take a deep breath and walk in, finding her sitting at the kitchen table, eyes red and puffy from crying. She looks up as I enter, her face a mix of hope and fear. "Mike, please," she starts, but I hold up a hand to stop her. "Emma, there's nothing left to say. I'm here to get my things. We're done. I've already contacted a lawyer. You'll be hearing from them soon," I say, my voice cold and firm. She breaks down, sobbing uncontrollably. "Please, Mike, I love you. We can go to counseling. We can work this out." I shake my head. "It's too late for that, Emma. You made your choice when you slept with Peter. I can't forgive that. I won't." She tries to reach for me, but I step back. "I need to get my things. Please, just let me do that." For the next hour, I pack up more clothes, some personal items, and important documents. Emma hovers nearby, pleading and crying, but I ignore her. Each tear, each sob, feels like a manipulation, a desperate attempt to hold on to something she's already destroyed. When I'm done, I look at her one last time. "Goodbye, Emma. I hope you find what you're looking for, but it's not with me." I walk out, leaving her cries behind. The drive back to the cabin is a blur. I'm numb, but there's a strange sense of relief too. I've made my decision. I'm moving forward, even if it's painful. Back at the cabin, I sit down and take a deep breath. I've started the process of ending my marriage. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but I know it's the right thing. I can't live with someone who betrayed me so completely. Now, it's time to focus on healing. The road ahead is long, but I'm determined to rebuild my life, piece by piece. I have my first therapy session tomorrow, and my meeting with the lawyer later this week. One step at a time, I'll get through this. Update. A week has passed since I left Emma and moved into my dad's old cabin. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, but I'm starting to find a bit of stability. The first few days were the hardest, filled with an overwhelming mix of anger, sadness, and confusion. But each day, I feel a tiny bit stronger, a little more in control of my life. My first therapy session was a game changer. Dr. Wallace, the therapist I found, has been incredibly understanding and supportive. He helped me start to untangle the mess of emotions I'm dealing with. We talked about betrayal, trust, and how to begin the healing process. He didn't have all the answers, but he gave me tools to start coping. It's a long road, but I'm glad I took that first step. My meeting with the lawyer was another tough but necessary milestone. Jennifer, my attorney, laid out the divorce process and what I could expect. She was straightforward, no sugarcoating, which I appreciated. She assured me that we'd fight for a fair settlement, especially given the circumstances. I handed over all the evidence I had, texts, photos, and the video from that night. It felt like ripping off a Band-Aid, painful but essential. In the meantime, I've been trying to keep myself busy. I've picked up a few projects around the cabin, fixing things that have needed attention for years. It's therapeutic in a way, giving me something to focus on other than my pain. I've also started running again, something I used to love but had let slide over the years. The physical exertion helps clear my mind, if only temporarily. Emma has continued to reach out, leaving voicemails and sending texts. At first I ignored them, but Dr. Wallace suggested I listen to a few to help process my feelings. It was hard hearing her voice, hearing her plead for another chance, but it reinforced my decision. I can't go back to that life. The trust is gone, and without it, there's nothing to build on. I've also started to open up to my friends and family. It wasn't easy, admitting what happened and showing my vulnerability, but their support has been invaluable. My best friend Tom has been a rock. He checks in daily, making sure I'm okay and dragging me out of the cabin when I get too lost in my thoughts. My parents have been amazing too, offering their unconditional support and a shoulder to cry on when needed. Reflecting on everything, I've learned some hard truths about myself and relationships. I've realized that I need to be more present in my future relationships, more attentive to the small signs that something might be wrong. But I've also learned that no matter how attentive or loving you are, some people will still betray you. That's on them, not on me. To anyone out there going through something similar, my advice is this: take it one day at a time. Don't rush the healing process. Surround yourself with supportive people, and don't be afraid to seek professional help. And most importantly, don't let someone else's betrayal define your worth. You're stronger than you think, and you can get through this. Update. It's been a couple of weeks since my last post, and I wanted to give you all an update on how things are progressing. These past weeks have been tough, but I'm starting to see a glimmer of hope on the horizon. It's not all doom and gloom anymore, and I've begun to take some concrete steps towards rebuilding my life. First things first, therapy with Dr. Wallace has been going really well. We've been delving deeper into my emotions, and he's helped me understand that it's okay to feel everything I'm feeling. The anger, the sadness, even the fleeting moments of relief, it's all part of the process. We've been working on strategies to manage my anger and ways to cope with the sadness that comes in waves. It's a slow process, but I can feel the difference. One major breakthrough was a session where we talked about forgiveness, not for Emma, but for myself. I've been beating myself up, wondering how I could have missed the signs, how I could have been so blind. Dr. Wallace made me realize that it's not my fault. Emma's actions were her choice, and they reflect on her, not on me. That realization lifted a huge weight off my shoulders. On the legal front, things are progressing as well. Jennifer, my lawyer, has been fantastic. She's tough, but fair, and she's fighting to make sure I get what I deserve. We've started the process of dividing assets, and while it's painful to think about selling the house I built with my own hands, I know it's the right move. It's a reminder of a life that's no longer mine, and selling it will help me move on. Emma has been cooperative, albeit reluctantly. I think she finally understands that there's no going back. We've exchanged a few more messages, mostly about logistics and the divorce process. She's still apologetic and remorseful, but I keep my responses short and to the point. I'm not ready to engage in any deep conversations with her. Maybe someday, but not now. One of the biggest changes in my life has been reconnecting with old hobbies and finding new ones. I've been running more consistently, and it's been a great way to clear my mind. I've also taken up woodworking again, something I used to love but hadn't done in years. There's something incredibly satisfying about creating something with your own hands, and it's been a great outlet for my emotions. I've also started volunteering at a local shelter. Giving back to the community has been a great way to shift my focus from my problems to helping others. It's humbling and rewarding, and it reminds me that there's still good in the world, even if my personal life has been a mess. Tom, my best friend, has been a lifesaver. He dragged me out to a few social gatherings, and while I was hesitant at first, it's been good to be around people. I've made some new friends, and it feels good to start building a new social circle. My parents have been incredible too, always checking in and making sure I know they're there for me. I'm starting to think about the future in a more positive light. I know it's going to be a long journey, but I'm beginning to see that there is life after betrayal. I'm starting to believe that I can find happiness again, that I can rebuild and come out of this stronger. So that's where I am right now. Still hurting, still healing, but moving forward, one step at a time. Update. Back again with another update. Things have been a whirlwind lately, and I'm doing my best to keep my head above water. There have been some significant developments, and facing reality has been both daunting and necessary. First off, I finally had a sit-down conversation with Emma. I had been avoiding it, but Jennifer, my lawyer, suggested it might be good to get some things out in the open. We met at a neutral location, a quiet park where we wouldn't run into anyone we knew. It was awkward to say the least. Emma looked worn out, like she hadn't been sleeping well. She tried to start with small talk, but I cut her off. "Why, Emma?" I asked. "I need to understand why you did it." She took a deep breath and looked down at her hands. "Mike, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I don't know if I have a good answer. I was lonely. You were gone so much, and I felt like we were growing apart. Peter was just there. He made me feel noticed, wanted." "Noticed?" I scoffed. "Emma, I noticed you every day. I loved you every day. How could you throw that away for someone who doesn't even mean anything to you?" Tears filled her eyes. "I know I messed up, Mike. I know I hurt you in the worst possible way. I was selfish and stupid. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know that it wasn't about you. It was about my own insecurities and my own issues." Her words hung in the air between us. Part of me wanted to believe her, to hold on to some shred of the woman I loved. But another part of me knew that no matter her reasons, the trust was shattered beyond repair. "I'm moving forward with the divorce," I said, my voice steady. "There's no fixing this. I can't trust you anymore, Emma. I'll never be able to look at you the same way." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I understand. I deserve this. I hope you can find happiness again. I hope you can heal." We sat in silence for a while after that, neither of us knowing what to say. Eventually, I stood up. "I need to go. Take care of yourself, Emma." As I walked away, I felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. The chapter with Emma was closing, and while it hurt like hell, it was also liberating. I knew I was making the right choice for myself, even if it was the hardest thing I'd ever done. Back at the cabin, I spent the evening reflecting on the conversation. Dr. Wallace had told me to expect a roller coaster of emotions, and he wasn't wrong. I felt a pang of guilt for leaving Emma in tears, but I also knew it was necessary. She made her choices, and now I had to make mine. In the midst of all this, there was a surprising silver lining. I reconnected with an old friend from high school, Sarah. We'd lost touch over the years, but she reached out after seeing one of my posts on social media about the divorce. She offered her support, and we decided to catch up over coffee. Meeting Sarah again was like a breath of fresh air. She's been through her own share of tough times and had a lot of wisdom to share. We talked about everything, our past, our struggles, and our hopes for the future. It felt good to connect with someone who knew me before all this chaos. Sarah's perspective helped me see things differently. She reminded me that life isn't defined by a single relationship, no matter how significant it was. She encouraged me to focus on myself, to rediscover who I am outside of my marriage. Inspired by our conversation, I decided to take another step forward. I signed up for a woodworking class at a local community center. It's something I've always enjoyed, and it gives me a sense of accomplishment and peace. Plus, it's a great way to meet new people and rebuild my social circle. I've also decided to take a short trip, a sort of mini vacation to clear my head. I found a cabin rental near a beautiful lake a few hours away. It's the perfect spot to relax, reflect, and start planning the next chapter of my life. I'm looking forward to hiking, fishing, and just being in nature, away from all the stress. Last update. This will be my last update. It's been a couple of months since my life was turned upside down, and a lot has happened since my last post. I wanted to share where I'm at now. The trip to the lake was exactly what I needed. I spent a week there, surrounded by nature, with no distractions. It gave me the time and space to really process everything. I hiked through the woods, fished in the quiet mornings, and spent my evenings by the campfire, letting my thoughts drift. It was healing in a way I didn't expect. By the time I left, I felt lighter, more centered, and ready to face whatever came next. When I got back, I threw myself into my woodworking class. Creating something tangible with my hands helped me channel my emotions into something productive. I made a few pieces of furniture and even started a small side business selling my work. It's given me a new sense of purpose and pride, something I desperately needed. Sarah and I have grown closer, and her support has been invaluable. We're not rushing into anything, but it's nice to have someone who understands and cares. We've been spending a lot of time together, and it's been a great reminder that good things can still come out of bad situations. She's helped me see that there's still a lot of life to live, and that happiness is still possible. The divorce is moving along. Jennifer has been a powerhouse, and we're almost at the finish line. Emma and I agreed to sell the house, and it's currently on the market. It's bittersweet, but I know it's the right decision. We've managed to keep things civil, which I'm grateful for. I don't want any more drama. I just want to move on. Therapy with Dr. Wallace has continued to be a crucial part of my recovery. We've worked through a lot of the anger and sadness, and I'm starting to feel more like myself again. He's helped me set new goals and focus on what I want for my future. One of the biggest breakthroughs was realizing that it's okay to prioritize my own happiness. For so long, I put Emma and our relationship first, but now I'm learning to put myself first. I've also reconnected with some old friends and made new ones through my woodworking class and volunteering. My social circle is slowly expanding, and it feels good to have a support system. I've learned that it's okay to lean on others and that asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. Looking back, I can see how far I've come. The pain of Emma's betrayal was like a storm that ripped through my life, but it also cleared the way for new growth. I'm still healing, and there are days when the sadness creeps back in, but I'm stronger now. I know that I can get through this and that brighter days are ahead. To anyone going through something similar, my advice is to take it one day at a time. Focus on small victories, surround yourself with supportive people, and don't be afraid to seek professional help. It's a long road, but you're stronger than you think, and you will get through it. It's been 2 years since my life was turned upside down. A lot has happened, and life has taken some unexpected turns, but I'm in a much better place now, thanks to everyone who followed my journey and offered support along the way. First things first, the divorce was finalized about a year ago. Emma and I sold the house, and I used my share of the money to start fresh. I moved to a new town a few hours away, closer to my parents, but far enough to avoid constant reminders of the past. The move was exactly what I needed to put some distance between myself and the memories of my old life. The woodworking business I started has taken off in ways I never imagined. What began as a therapeutic hobby has turned into a full-fledged business. I now have a small workshop and a few employees. We specialize in custom furniture, and our work has been featured in a couple of local magazines. It's incredibly rewarding to see something I built from the ground up flourish. Unexpectedly, Sarah and I became more than just friends. We started dating about 6 months after my last update, and it's been an incredible journey. She's been my rock through everything, and we've built a beautiful life together. We're not rushing into marriage, but we're talking about the future, and it feels right. She's helped me believe in love again, something I thought was impossible after Emma. Speaking of Emma, I haven't had much contact with her since the divorce. We've exchanged a few civil messages about finalizing the sale of the house and some other loose ends, but that's it. I heard through mutual friends that she's moved on too, which is good. I wish her well, but I'm glad that chapter of my life is closed. One of the biggest surprises over the past 2 years was reconnecting with my old demolition crew. After taking a break to focus on my business and personal life, I ran into one of my former co-workers at a local event. We got to talking, and it turned out they had an opportunity for me to consult on some large projects. Balancing this with my woodworking business has been challenging, but it's also given me a sense of fulfillment and financial stability. Another unexpected twist came in the form of a surprise family reunion. I found out through an ancestry DNA test that I have a half-sister I never knew about. My dad had a relationship before he met my mom that he never talked about, and I guess he didn't even know about her. My sister, Laura, reached out after finding the DNA match, and we met up. She's amazing, and we formed a strong bond. It's wild to think that I went from having no siblings to having a sister, but life is full of surprises. Volunteering has remained an important part of my life. I've continued to work with the local shelter, and Sarah and I even started a small community garden project. It's been a wonderful way to give back and stay connected with our community. We've made some great friends through this, and it's added a sense of purpose to our lives. Of course, not everything has been smooth sailing. There have been setbacks and challenges. My business went through a rough patch due to supply chain issues, and Sarah faced some health scares that were incredibly stressful. But we faced these challenges together, and we've come out stronger for it. Reflecting on the past 2 years, I'm filled with gratitude. Gratitude for the support I received from all of you, for the new opportunities that came my way, and for the love and happiness I've found with Sarah. Life threw me a curveball, but I've learned to roll with the punches and make the best of what comes my way. To anyone still going through tough times, hang in there. Life has a way of surprising you when you least expect it. Focus on the little victories, lean on your support system, and keep moving forward. Things do get better.